What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to go through and show you my process of jersey changes. This is the same process I'll use on any photo. So you might be saying I don't have the high quality photos. Well, this is the same way I did it when I was coaching college basketball, and I was using screen grabs and low quality images of recruits that I could find. So it's tried and true method. You know, it is going to be easier when you have better photos. But today I'm going to show you my process that I use on any photo to get from this image of Scoot to this image of him in a Hawks jersey. So let's head over to Photoshop and I'll show you how it's done. All right, here we are. Here's our original image of Scoot, G League Ignite. And we're going to turn him, put him into a Hawks City Edition uniform. So there's our finished result. I've already got all the work done, but I'm going to take you through step by step how I got to that. So our first step is always going to be removing our player from the background. For me, it's really simple. I come to remove BG, my plugin I have right here. Link's going to be down in the bio. It's the easiest way I've found of cutting images out. Works great when you have high quality photos for sure. And you can see it's done the work for us. There's our original. And then there's our cutout. I'm going to change this to Scoot. Okay. So now that we have our image cut out, I want to remove him from the picture so we have the background playing by itself. To do that, select this layer, go to select, load selection, change this to mask. And you can see the marching ants we have around the player. We're going to expand that. Come up here to select, modify, expand. Anywhere from 5 to 10 normally works well. But you can see it just moves us 8 pixels away. I want 8 pixels. 8 pixels off the selection we had. Now I'm going to come down here and hide this layer so you can see the work it's going to do. And we're going to use this tool a lot in this video. We're going to go to Edit, Content Aware Fill. And it opens up this panel. And on the left side is our original image. The right side is what we're going to be producing. So you can see it removed him from the background. And it's on just this auto feature. I haven't touched anything. You have these other options, but 9 times out of 10, auto is going to do a really good job. So just click OK. And now we have this layer, which covers him up, and we have our image here. Okay. Next step is going to be removing everything off of his jersey. We want to make this a plain jersey. If you haven't already, come over to your image and right click, convert to smart object. Once you've done that, you can double click on it and open it up in a separate window. And I already have all my work done in this folder here, but I'm going to show you how I got there. So the key is going to be come over here, pen tool, using the same tool that we just used, same function that we just used. I'm going to come here, make a selection, and go to Edit, Content Aware Fill. And as you can see, make sure this is on new layer. So we'll go to select, deselect, and now we have this layer is filling in our jersey and covering up the spot that we wanted to get rid of. Okay, so you're going to go through and you're going to select every part of his jersey, the Nike check, the Gatorade, G League logo, number, Ignite, everything that you want to get rid of. Go through and do that same process. Content aware didn't work. You can push the plus new layer. We're going to come over here and get the clone stamp tool. Shortcut key is S. And we're going to use Alt. You see how the cursor has changed? See how my cursor has changed to like a target? I'm going to hold Alt, and whatever I click is going to turn into a paintbrush. And I can paint away. See, I'm selecting a white part of the jersey near that check. And I'm painting away. Another thing that you're going to want to check is make sure the samples, you want it to be, in this situation, you want it to be on all layers.
2 hours later.
Okay, here we are. I've gotten everything off of the jersey. I'm going to exit out and save my smart object. So I have my reference images here. These always help to have things to look at. But if you notice, Scoot's wearing a white jersey. and this City Edition is a black jersey. So we need to create a new folder and name it Jersey Color. All right, and now grab your pen tool or whatever you like to select with, and you need to go around the edge of the jersey, and we've got to make this a selection. That way, when we add all these coloring effects, it's only going to affect his jersey and not any of his skin tones. All right, when you have your selection made, you're going to want to come on this jersey folder, jersey color folder, create a mask. That's going to make whatever you put inside this mask is only going to affect on his jersey and not mess with any of his skin. All right, now inside this folder, I have mine already created. As you can see, turns it black. But the first step is going to be a levels adjustment layer. To get that, you're going to come down to the bottom, this circle, and levels. All right, so here's mine. Here's what it looks like. If you click on this little icon of your adjustment layer, it's going to bring up all the settings that you can adjust. I'm going to reset it just for sake of you being able to see. This side is your blacks. This is your midtones. This is your whites. And same thing down here, darks and whites. So we have a white jersey we want to turn black. I'm going to take the white slider, slide it down to black, and I'm going to take the black, move it down to white just a little bit so we have it out of the way. Because I still want to keep those wrinkles on there. Now, it doesn't look very realistic yet, but I want to have a difference in colors so we can still see that there's wrinkles in the jersey. And I want to get something like that. And you can just play with these settings. Every picture is going to be different, so I can't tell you the exact settings you need, but it's just something you need to play with and figure out for your picture. And you can also use a curves layer. I used a curves layer to add it and get it a little bit darker, but while still keeping wrinkles. If you didn't know, curves layer, you can pick points along this line. This is your shadows and these are your brights, and just pull in different directions, and it's going to give you different effects. Just something you need to play with and discover how it works. And then I also did a selective color, and on my selective color, I only messed with the whites, neutrals, and blacks because I'm just worried about the jersey. And you can see it's very subtle, but the main thing I did, I got the the midtones and made them a little darker. You can just play with these settings. The main one you're going to want to mess with is black, but come in here and change it, and you can see what works for your photo and what doesn't work for your photo. But those are the 3 adjustment layers that I have used for turning the jersey from white to black. Okay, next up, we need to work on the jersey elements. Okay, City Edition jerseys got these the Atlanta script, the number, the logo, sponsor, and the Bill Russell icon, and these stripes on the side. We're just going to focus on all this on the jersey for now. I like to separate mine by folders when I can, keep it a little more organized. So I have jersey elements right there. You can see what my finished product is. To get there, I go to my reference image. I'm going to double click. I have it as a smart object. I get the pen tool. And the first thing I want to do is take this Atlanta. I'm going to go all the way around. Doesn't have to be exact because it is black on top of black. I'm going to make that selection. Control C to copy. Control C to copy. So I'm going to push Control V to paste that down. And then right click on your layer, convert it to a smart object, just so we have that original saved in case we have any mix ups and need to start back over. All right, rotate it. You can push Control T and you can get your rotation on right there. That looks about right. And then Control T again, right click and distort. So when you are using distort, you can grab these corners and it's going to really just change the perspective of our image. And I kind of want it to be at the same angle his body is facing. Now, when you have a lot of different reference images available, it makes it easier to find images that are close to what you need already without having to do a lot of editing and using the distort too much. Because if their body is like almost to the side and you have to distort it too much, it will mess up your your little jersey elements, and it's not going to look legitimate. But so what I do is I go through and I just individually cut out all the different things that I want to have on his jersey. So I want to put the sponsorship logo, and I'm going to do the same thing and go through that same process again. And voila. So something like that, and just play with it and get it to where it fits your picture. But if you have your color right, and this is black on top of black, it's really not that hard because there's not a whole lot of blending going on this one yet. But just play with it, get that how you need it. This is what my finished product looks like. I'll also show you, so you can see the 3 is the number on the one I was using. I actually took this 0 off of John Collins and turned it and did the same effect. So you can pick from a bunch of different images. It doesn't have to be the same one. Whatever you can find that works best. And I know sometimes if you have no reference images, like you might have to type some of this stuff. Depending on your level and your situation with photography, you might have to type some of this. So I've had to do that a ton before, where I've had to type out the name and just kind of make up a jersey. So do that if you need to. You can make it work. It's the same basics. Use your distort tool and get the angle right. Okay, now we have all of our elements on our jersey. Next thing is going to be adding our stripes. And this is going to be by far the hardest part. But here's what my finished image looked like with our stripes. Bam. Okay, so you can see I have added these each individually. We'll start with the first one, and I'll show you kind of how the process is done. This is very tedious and definitely time consuming. So if you want this to look right, you're going to have to spend some time on it. So I'm going to go back up here to our original reference image. I have masked out the jersey, and I want to cut off this sleeve right here. Bam, 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 and I just want this part. All right, make that our selection. Push Control C, Control Shift V is going to be place it in the same exact place as it was at on the previous layer. I'm going to move that mask, and as you can see, that's what we've got. Convert that to a smart object, copy, and bring it down in here. So we need to make this stripe fit this arm sleeve. So just first thing is just get it kind of basic going along his arm. Somewhere like that is fine. Maybe shrink it just a little bit. But we need to push Control T, and let's bring in the warp tool. Now, if you can see, the warp tool is very fidgety, but very powerful. You can change a lot of different things. You just got to play with these little anchor points, and it lets you turn and manipulate this photo a lot of different ways. So I want to try to curve it around his arm right, and just play with the anchor points. Everyone's going to be different depending on what you're working with. But a good trick is to kind of lower the opacity so you can see what's below, because I don't want any excess jersey hanging off. So I'm going to get it as close as I possibly can. Control T, warp. And I just play with this until I get something right about like that. That looks pretty good. I think that looks pretty good. And then for the sake of this one, I actually used the same piece of the jersey, and I went all throughout. I placed it here, and I rotated it, shrunk it a little bit, And I did the same thing. I went to Control T, warp. You can see if you move in the middle, it kind of moves the whole thing. If you pick a certain point on the outside, it kind of just focuses on one spot. So I'm just trying to, and go slowly because you can mess up your image pretty quick with this warp tool. But just go until you get the look that you're going for. Obviously, the more time you spend on it, the better on this, because you want it to look as exact as possible. Another thing, you can see the angle of this is kind of not going with his body. So you can come in here again, Control T, and distort, and try to angle it a little bit. You just got to play with these couple things and kind of get it where you need it. There you can see I went through and added all of the stripes to his jersey and his shorts. And I tried to match the colors on those as best I could. I put a curves layer on this to kind of dim it a little bit, since that's a darker spot. It was very bright on the image I pulled it from. But that's looking pretty good. I always like to add some finishing touches to my jersey changes to kind of top it off and make it look even more realistic, give it a little bit of pop. So the way I like to do my lighting on this, I want to pull it from our original image so that our wrinkles are consistent. Our lighting source is the same. So I have our original image pulled here right on top of all the work that we've just done. All right, so follow along this part. This is going to be important in getting the lighting right. So I want to add the shadows back. See this exposure layer here? If you'll look closely at all these areas on the side of the jersey, it builds back in the shadows. You can see on the Nike check. This part is going to make this very easy for you. And then I did the same thing here to kind of bring back these lighter jerseys on top too, or lighter wrinkles on top of the jersey. But to do this, we're going to come down here, add a layer mask, click on our layer mask, and then down up here at properties, we can select the color range. On the color range, we want to do shadows, and this is going to show you what your selection will look like. And play with these settings until you get what you're looking for. I'm only looking at the jersey, really. All right, so I want to have some shadows from the jersey selected. Bam. So now we look at this image, all we can see now is the shadows. So I took a adjustment layer, exposure. I messed with the gamma correction and I turned it down. Turned it up. It's going to make it darker. And what I did was, if you hold the Alt key and click on this layer mask, it will replace that layer mask. So all of our shadows are now darker, only in the spots that we selected from our original image. Okay, but on this one, I do not. You see how it's messed with the body too much, and I do not like the way that looks. So what I need to do is come back down here to the step that we did at the beginning and selecting the jersey. Somewhere down here. All right. Click on that. Select load selection. And then I'm going to scroll back up. Select inverse. Get a hard brush, bigger, flow 100, opacity 100. Make sure your color is at white. Make sure your color is black, and I'm going to erase all of that. So now, all we have selected, or all that is affected by this curves layer, is the shadows on the jersey and nothing else. So if you look closely, you can see on the 0, you can see it on the sides right here. Looks pretty good. Adds a little bit more realism to it. Looks a little less flat than it did before. And the cool thing is, you can come here, look at properties, and you can still adjust these settings to make it more or less intense. Okay, and then I go through and I do the same thing for the highlights. And the white jersey, I actually didn't mess with the highlights on this one. Darker jersey would be highlights. This one I did the midtones. And I just want to have them stand out a little bit. And I'm going to go through that same exact process. Create another exposure layer. I'm going to turn it up for this one. Hold Alt. Now hide this layer. You can see adds a lot of detail to the jersey, but it's also on the player. So scroll back down. Select our jersey selection. Come up. Select inverse. Now erase. Bam. So the only thing that we can that's affected by this, well, now the only thing affected by this is our highlight or midtones on our jersey. You can see there. And you can come in here and mess with the settings after the fact. Something like that. It's all personal preference. Whatever you think looks good. It's all up to you. So that is our final player. And that's how we get to our jersey change. I wanted it to have a little bit more pop. I added a little bit of fog and a gradient behind him. And a couple more finishing touches. And that is what we ended up with. So that is how you do a jersey change. So there you have it. That's how I do my jersey changes. And this method will work for any of the photos you have. If you have any further questions, check the description below. I'm going to have links to my personal Instagram, my website, and also my Patreon if you're looking for more one-on-one type graphic design training. But until next time, see you.